Welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast with Jacob Ayers, providing actionable content to help you along your journey to financial freedom through real estate investing. As the premier asset class, real estate has helped ordinary people just like you amass fortunes. The benefits of passive income from real estate investing will allow you to live a life you want. And now your host, entrepreneur, real estate investor, and apartment deal syndicator, Jacob Ayers.
Hi, and welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, episode 118. You're listening to this week's episode of Friday Fundamentals. Well, before we get started today, I want to take a minute and thank you for taking the time to tune in and listen to this podcast. But I know you're not here for me, you're here for you. So I have a quick tip for you. It is take action. If you're not taking action on the content you're listening to every day, then it's all in vain. So get out there and implement the things you're learning and take action. Well, I want to give a shout out to a couple 5-star reviews in iTunes. This 5-star review from Chris M says, "Fantastic show right out of the gate. Can't wait to hear more on real estate investing and creating freedom through investments." Another 5-star review from Steve Smith says, "This podcast is exactly what I was looking for. Jacob is a fantastic host who really dives deep into educating the listeners on the benefits of creating wealth through real estate. Highly recommend." Thank you all for the great reviews. I'm so glad you're getting value from this podcast. If you like what you've heard so far, please go over and leave a rating and review on whichever platform you're listening on. Today's Friday Fundamental is time management. In today's day and age, everyone and everything is jockeying for our attention, and rightfully so. There are a lot of things out there that warrant your attention. The problem is, you only have so much time. Now, if you're anything like me, you have a lot of interests, hobbies, and not to mention commitments. With so many things and only so much time, what is one to do? First, you must value your time. We've all heard the phrase, time is money. But I don't necessarily agree with that. Time is much more valuable than money. Time is the only thing that you can't create more of. It's a non-renewable resource in your life. And time is only money if you are doing the right things with your time. If you are spending your time doing non-productive things, then that time isn't very valuable. If you're ever going to reach your massive goals, then you will have to manage your time. It's unlikely that you'll just fall into success and accidentally achieve your goals. So time management is the process of organizing and planning how to divide your time between specific activities. There are many tools, resources, and even practices you can use to help manage your time. And we'll talk about those in just a minute. But first, I want to talk about the greatest equalizer among us all: time. No matter who you are, your age, income, gender, race, or religion, you have the same amount of time as the next person. It's how you manage your time that will set you apart. Do you know someone who seems to be getting so much more done in less time? Or someone who has a crazy amount of responsibility but still manages everything? Someone that comes to mind for me is Elon Musk. Elon is the CEO of multiple billion-dollar companies: SpaceX, Tesla, SolarCity, and the Boring Company. How does he do it? How does he manage all of that? Or how about the hypothetical part-time real estate investor / nurse next door with 2 kids? How does she manage to maintain a full-time job, raise 2 children, and everything that comes with that, and build a real estate portfolio. There are just some people out there that seem to be operating on another level. These people don't have some magic portal with extra hours in their day. Rather, they manage their time. It's said that we make over 35,000 decisions every single day. That's a lot of brain power being used on both small and large decisions. So how do you decide what's important and deserves your attention and what doesn't? Well, you can use 2 criteria, and those are 1, is it important? And 2, is it urgent? If the matter is both important and urgent, then you must address it. These are what I like to call fires that every day you must put out. Next, the sweet spot is a matter that is not urgent yet, but is important. This is where you'll ideally spend your most productive time. Then we have matters that are urgent but not important. And lastly, matters that are neither urgent nor important. This is where you should not be spending your time. It's up to you to decide what's important to you, since that's different for everyone. Now let's talk about some ways you can manage your time. The first is time blocking. Time blocking is the method of setting aside a certain amount of time to tackle an activity. This may be setting aside just 10 minutes to take care of a quick task, or setting aside an hour to take on and accomplish a project. Next, turn off notifications. From dings on your phone to your email to computer, we're constantly distracted by notifications. So if you'll remove those notifications, turn them off, silence them, you'll be less distracted. Then tackle the most important tasks first. This is the concept of the one thing by Jay Papasan and Gary Keller. I personally like to take my mornings to take on the most important task of my day. By starting early on and tackling this problem head on, you'll have accomplished your biggest task right off the bat, with plenty of momentum going forward throughout the day. And lastly, remove distractions. Whether that's closing your office door, or turning off the TV, or taking yourself to a quiet place, whatever distracts you, remove that. Now, there are some pretty cool tools and resources out there that I like to use. Starting with the basics, I use a physical planner. Now, you can use an electronic planner if you'd like, but I'm much more of a paper person, so I like to use a physical planner/journal. There are also the notes section in your phone. If you're on the go and come up with a good idea or need to write something down to remind yourself later, use the notes section in your phone. Then there's the Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is kind of like time blocking, and it is you set aside a certain amount of time for a task with a rest period at the end. So you may set aside 25 minutes for a project, then rest 5 minutes, and then take on another 30-minute project after that. Now, if you're not sure where you're spending most of your time at, it helps to know that and audit yourself. You can use the Rescue Time app on Android or Apple, and this helps you track and manage the time you've spent on a weekly basis. So you can use this app and go back and look and see how much time you spent on social media or texting or the web browser. And it really helps you audit your time and know where you can improve. Now, a mistake I've found myself making is telling myself I'm too busy to take on something that will require a bit of work and time, but it's productive. On the flip side, pitch me an idea for a day on the water fishing, and I have a hard time turning it down. Don't fall into this trap of telling yourself you're too busy or don't have time. We all have time, the same 24 hours. The question is, what do you make time for? If you're making time to go to happy hours, set your fantasy football lineup, and look for tickets to that concert this summer, but then tell yourself you're too busy to read about the topic that interests you, train for that half marathon, or go to a conference, then you are making excuses for yourself. Guard your time. Treat it as your most precious resource. You have the potential to do anything in this life you want. You just have to do the things now that will free up your time in the future. Dave Ramsey says, if you'll live today like no one else, you can live the rest of your life like no one else. So take control of your time, hold yourself accountable, and build the life you want. That wraps up this week's episode of Friday Fundamentals. I really hope you're getting value from this show. If you like what you've heard, please go over and leave a rating and review on whichever platform you're listening on. For more information, resources, and to connect with me, visit www.jacobayers.com. Till next time, signing off, I'm your host, Jacob Ayers.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, providing you actionable content to build your real estate empire. Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for personal advice. The opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have a potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom, LLC, exclusively.